I'm back. It's Chad Eckert, and that's not Eric Martins, but you're still watching the Fantasy Golf Pod. You can follow us on Twitter at Fantasy Golf Pod. Today, I'm not going to waste any time. I've started this interview series, and I've got an 11K guy. I've got one of the top price guys. I'm humbled. I'm honored to have maybe the DFS PGA content king over Pat Mayo even. Rick Run Good. Rick Gehman, hell yes.
How's it going?
Dude, Rick Run Good. It's amazing.
That's
On Demand. You're everywhere. You're everywhere. And let's not kid ourselves, dude. We don't need to introduce you. Everyone knows you if they're watching this. Clearly, they're already watching your YouTube channel. But tell us, it's pretty cool. You work for CBS Sports now.
Yeah, I'm everywhere. That's kind of the mantra that I live by. I say yes to a lot of things. I say no to a lot of things, but yeah, I got hooked up with CBS Sports. Probably a couple months ago now, and we align so much in our visions. Where I see where fantasy golf is going, I see where golf betting is going to be going. And CBS Sports kind of feels the same way. So they wanted to really ramp up a lot of their fantasy content, a lot of their sports betting content. They wanted to ramp up their podcasts and stuff like that. So got connected with them a couple of months ago. We figured out a nice little relationship. And yeah, now I host the First Cut podcast, which is currently 3 times a week during this hiatus, but oftentimes more when tournaments are going on. And the CBS Sports brand can get a lot of good guests on there. So it's pretty cool, man.
Well, and then I was going to ask you, because I'm like somewhat nervous when I even do this thing with Eric on Tuesdays, and I like want to screw up, and you've been on freaking TV.
Yeah.
How nerve-wracking is that? Do you feel like you're going to screw up and it's just like crazy nerve-wracking, or how is that? Are you used to it?
Yeah, no, I'm still nervous about it. And I think that's good. I mean, if I'm nervous, it means I care. I'm certainly preparing for the worst. I mean, I'll tell you, I was on a streaming network the other day and I was not happy with my performance. You know what I mean? Like that bothered me, like that ate me up. And no, I'm still definitely nervous. I think there's, we're in the absolute infancy of kind of where we can go here. So yeah, I think there's big things ahead.
Now, have you always been doing this content stuff? Because since I've been in and out of the business and stuff, and I kind of passively looked at content, but at the same time, not really. But I have noticed yours since basically 5 or 6 years ago. You've pumped out these videos weekly. Have you always done this, or what did you do before this?
So I guess I've always been doing it on the side. It's not always been my full-time focus. So I worked in marketing automation. So basically for college and pro sports teams, I would work in a giant database to kind of help them sell football tickets, help them sell basketball tickets. That was my career. So it aligned pretty closely with a lot of the things I'm doing right now, which is mostly in, giant databases. The content stuff has just always been on the side, go home after work. Make a tournament preview, maybe do another video later in the week. And yeah, you're right. It's probably been, I keep looking at my calendar. I can't believe it's probably been like 5 years.
Right.
And I've been, I don't think I've missed a week. I don't think I try to make sure I pump it out, but now as of about a year ago, yeah, this is the full-time focus. This is, everything I do is for golf in some way.
So then DFS On Demand, that's your website. What is this website and why should we sign up for it?
Yeah, good question. I mean, so the way that DFS On Demand started, it was I wanted a place where I could put all of my data and all of my tools that I could access from anywhere. So I said, okay, I had my buddy for $11 set me up with a website, and I just put in I was the only person who knew the domain. I think I had it password protected at one point,
really?
but I just wanted to be able to access my tools and access my data. And then I shared it with a couple buddies, and they were like, oh, this is pretty cool. Can I send this to my friend? Can I send this to my friend? Can I send this to my friend? And I was like, maybe people want this. Even 5 years ago. Yeah. And even 5 years ago, and still today, the industry's pretty secretive. There was just this, no one wants to tell you anything. No one wants to help you with strategy. No one wants to share their information with you. So I kind of opened it up. It wasn't really my idea to be a business, but now it has evolved. Now it is just a bunch of golf tools for fantasy, for sports betting, for, I mean, if you just want to go back and look at like historic tournaments, like unrelated to anything, like it's all there. So that's kind of like the evolution of where we've been for, I don't know, 5 years.
But it's now you switch focuses on your own stuff towards golf, but does DFS On Demand still have all the other sports?
Great question. So no. So I also switched DFS On Demand to golf only, which I'll
Okay.
tell you was terrifying because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to lose so much money when I like get rid of football, or I'm going to lose so much money when I get rid of basketball. Like I was terrified of that. But quite frankly, like I personally would rather try to be like the best at golf, for example, as opposed to being, like I have average tools for 4 different sports, and like I'll just go through life like that. And I just loved golf. It was what I was making videos about. It's what I was passionate about. And I was like, you know what? Let's just pull the rug out here and go all golf.
Okay, so then let's go into your background a little bit. You say you've been into golf for a while. Is it because you're in California? Is that where you're quarantined at the moment? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm in Southern California. So, and I work from home. So I've been like practicing like quarantining for like I rarely leave the house anyway. So yeah, I'm in Southern California. I play golf. Well, before this, once or twice a week, I've been able to get out there.
Yeah. But now you're just playing on the video games. I've seen that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
People
Which
are
is
into
like
that.
way into it. I like way more into it than I ever imagined, right? Like I wanted an excuse to play video games, right? So I was like,
that.
I'll just like I'll create a video each week and I'll play.
Because Rick, you're newly married and you're not allowed to do anything fun anymore.
Right.
You're married,
yeah, fun
it's over. You're ruined. So yeah, to have the excuse.
Removed. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I'm working here, hun. Like I gotta record this video because it's where the tour is gonna play this week.
Sure.
And that was like my like excuse to like do that. And then people loved it, man. And I'm like, oh my God, like what game is this? How
Dude, the timing couldn't have been perfect because everyone's at home now.
Yeah, and then now, right? So then now that this is like people are like, yo, I'm setting up matches. I'm playing people from the Slack channel. We're like, it's going.
And you got to do Xbox now?
I got a new Xbox. Like it's nuts, man. Like I'm like, this is cool. Whatever, let's do it. So
okay, so if you don't know what I'm talking about or we're talking about, and you have PS4 or Xbox, you got the Club Championship game 2019. I think you could just go and search for your name or whatever. I don't.
Yeah. So the game is it's the Golf Club 2019, which is a little deceiving because there's not a new game that comes out every year. So they put the year on it, but it's not a yearly game. So that's a little awkward, but yeah. So on PS4 or Xbox, depending on when this airs, it'll be in a couple of days. I'll have the Xbox tour ready.
No, it'll be up by then. I'm sure you'll have Xbox going.
Yeah, it's the Run Good tour, and it follows where the PGA Tour plays. And on PS4, there's like 250 of us already. It's like a lot of fun.
Nice. Now, have you always been into fantasy sports, or how'd you get into fantasy sports? We're just asking these people we're talking to, like, where'd they start? Like, was it when you were 12 and you're looking stuff up in the newspaper, or what?
Yeah,
where did you start?
Probably. I mean, I'm trying to go back and think like what my first memory of fantasy sports was. I remember this. I remember I had to have been, I don't know, we can probably figure out the year, like 12 or 13, maybe younger, and we were doing a fantasy draft online. And my uncle worked at like some IT company that had like broadband internet. They had like cable internet, like DSL. And I remember we went there for the draft and it was so lightning fast, which is obviously today, I'm sure it's like the slowest thing you could have possibly had. But like, I don't know what that memory is, but I remember being like, oh my God, like we're drafting players so fast right now. I'm seeing the timer. The timer's not like glitching out on me.
So I remember DSL.
Yeah, yeah, right. And now that's like probably the worst thing you could get. But like that's like my earliest memory. And then yeah, I just, obviously when I found out about DFS, I was like, holy crap, this is just like fantasy on steroids. And then I just feel like golf is the perfect fantasy game. It's once a week. Everybody plays the same course. You rarely, of course, there's withdrawals, but like guys aren't getting injured all the time. Like it's just the perfect fantasy sport.
And it prolongs the amount of time you can lose your money, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Think about it. I mean, the sweat that you get is at least 2 days. It's a lot of times 4 days, depending on how well your lineups are constructed. But yeah, so you get to, do your you get all the time to research. You get all the time to enjoy the event. It's basically year round. I mean, in football, you get what? 17 weeks plus the playoffs. So maybe you're getting, I don't know, 25 main slates or something like that a year. In golf, you're getting what, 45, 46? I mean,
Plus,
it's
you could do
almost
Euro,
all
you
year.
could do alternate events. There's like, I mean, you could almost play 52 weeks of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it is just by nature structured to be an unbelievable fantasy sport.
So let's talk about Rick Run Good. Obviously, the name, is it just what it is? I mean, you run good and that's good, and your name is Rick?
Yeah, basically, I mean, it was kind of so my buddies, like when we were in college and we were in high school, like I don't know, they just always felt like everything I did worked out, right? Or like everything that I touched turned to gold or whatever. So like if they wanted to tail a bet, if they're like, oh well, like Rick's on it, like he's got that run good. Like I want to get a little bit of that run good. And it kind of just evolved, and I was like looking for a username. I'm like, I'd like to run good here. Like that'd be
Dude,
cool.
I personally think the Rick Run Good name, its brand itself, like that's value. Like I personally, that's like the chillest name in all of the DFS industry is Rick Run
Yeah,
Good. I mean, fuck.
easy to say, easy to read.
So chill.
Because I see some of them, and I'm like, oh man, like that's like I can't even pronounce that. I don't even know where to start. So yeah,
Okay, yeah.
it worked out. I don't have to throw a bunch of numbers on the end. It's always available. So
It's amazing. And then DFS On Demand, it's that same thing. You're just like, hey, we're on demand. I mean, it's like,
yeah. So I mean, really, actually, I guess like when I first had the site, I don't think it even had a domain. Like I don't even know what it was. But like when I first was like, oh, I'm going to open this up to other people. My idea behind it, which this feels like a million years ago, is I was going to make videos. I was going to make daily videos, but they were going to all be just on the site. Like they were going to be like, I guess unlisted on YouTube and then just posted on the site. And so it'd be like videos on demand, like DFS on demand. Like that was the thought process. Now I very quickly abandoned that, like almost immediately. But I had the domain and I was still rolling, and I was like, you know what, like it's not bad. Like I probably, quite honestly, it'll probably be rickrungood.com at some point. Like I also have rickrungood.com. So like if you go to rickrungood.com, it takes you to DFS on demand. So like I just
cool.
Yeah, I'm stuck with a name that quite honestly is a little outdated. It doesn't make a lot of sense. If I could go back in time, it would have been rickrungood.com.
No, but it's still, you can change it and it's chill. No,
I have them both, so it's fine.
Rick, you are kind of known as the guy that either does this cascading play or you've kind of like originated it. I don't know. You're like the core cascading, Rick Brungood's core cascading. Do you still do that? Eric wanted me to ask you this because that's a really risky way to play, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah. So this is funny.
We're high risk, high reward. I'm not saying it's a bad way to play, but
this is another thing where like I just started talking about it, and then like a couple months later, I found out other people were doing it and crediting me for it, and I was like, wow, like okay, I guess maybe no one's ever thought of this before. But yeah. So
well, explain it though. Explain it. You take.
Here's what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's what it is. So I create a single lineup in golf, and I grind really hard on one lineup because I feel like, in theory, right? This is all in theory. The first lineup that you make should be your best lineup, because the second lineup that you make, just by nature, it wasn't your first lineup. So you made some concession somewhere. That's in theory. Obviously, we know that's not always the case. But so when I grind really hard on one lineup, I want to get as much exposure to those guys as possible. So what I do is I take those 6 golfers, and I've only ever done it really in a 20 max. I've tried it in 150. It doesn't work out so well. But you take those 6 golfers, and each one of their slots that they're in, you swap them out 3 times. So I would have 5 of the same golfers, and my 6th guy I would swap out with 3 other guys that I want to get exposure to. So that gives me 3 new lineups. Then I put my original guy back into the 6th spot, go to the 5th spot, swap him out 3 times, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, go on. So I cascade the core. So yeah, you have in 16 out of 20 of your lineups, you have the same 6 guys. So like if you get a 6 of 6, you're in business, right? You're gonna have a ton of bullets at the top. If 2 guys miss the cut, you're basically losing all your money for the week. So it has always been presented as super high risk, super high reward. It's 1 GPPs for me. It's 1 GPPs for other people. But I mean, it is often like, yo, you're probably going to lose all of your buy-ins here. But when you cash, you're going to have a ton of bullets at the top.
You're going to have a hashtag MegaProfit. Now, this happened to you a couple years ago. Was it the Masters?
That's correct. Yes.
So
it would
explain
have been
this, because it worked. You hit the core cascade. It worked.
Yeah, so Core Cascade worked. It was Patrick Reed's Masters, and I want to say my core was something like Spieth, Fowler, Russell Henley, Charlie Hoffman, somebody. Sure. And basically I had in my core guys that finished like second, third. Hoffman made an ace on Sunday. Russell Henley had like the best round of the week on Sunday. And the one guy, like Reed was not in my core. He was one of the guys I swapped to. So it was just like, it was basically like, oh, wow. I probably wouldn't have gotten that much exposure to him, but I use those swaps as ways to get guys that like, hey, I like, or I might not have played. Let me differentiate a little bit. So my core was great. I was cashing a bunch of those lineups, but the one swap from whoever it was to Patrick Reed, takes down it was the optimal lineup.
You won.
Yeah. I mean, any contest it would have been in, it would have taken it down. I didn't play it in the Millie Maker.
So you could have taken out Drew Matthews?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, we actually would have. He had the optimal lineup as well, so we would have split it.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
But
so then you won, but you still won.
10K.
Enough money to buy a Tesla or what?
Yeah, well, that's different. Not that much, but yeah, it was the birdie. I won the birdie. I think it was 10 or 15 that week because it was a Masters week. But yeah, it was the literal optimal lineup.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Pretty sick.
Fun. Now, are you still doing the core cascade, or do you just do that every once in a while, or what?
So I do it on at least one slate a week. It's always a 20 max. It's almost exclusively the birdie. You should see. I got to do it again soon. I pulled my DK results and I just filtered by the birdies or by like the birdie contest, and it's so hilarious because it's like boom, pop off for like 10K. Lose 15 slates in a row. Boom, pop off for 2K, lose 20 slates in a row. But it's like, it's still going up over time. But I'm like, yo, this is, if you want to see risk reward, here it is, peeps. Like, this is it. So
it works though. Like but then you don't go, I'm going to do the core cascade for 3 times and then I'm going to give up on it. And then I'm going to do it 3 more times. You got to do it every time.
And I also listen, I'm not trying to grind 3% ROI over the course of the next 2 years, right? Like I if I lose the money, it's like, okay, I've set aside the amount that I'm willing to lose this week. But like, I want the opportunity to be like, oh, that was cool. I won 5 figures or whatever. So like, I don't, I'm not trying to, this isn't, paying my bills, so to speak.
So now, do you use the same strategy each week, or do you play the same way? Do you have a player pool? What's your weekly process like?
Yeah, so generally, I actually probably play a lot less than people think. I play a bit, but by the time it gets to Wednesday, by the time like I've done so much content, I've talked so much, I've done all the research, I'm like, I'm too tired to make lineups. I don't want to go make 1,000 lineups here, which is kind of why the core cascade works, is because I can make like one lineup and quickly get it into 20 entries. So I kind of do something like that. But yeah, so I'll play the 20 maxes. I'll play a lot of the 3 maxes across the different buy-ins, and I'll kind of adjust players off of that same core. Now we have like I don't have my own listener league, but like there's so many listener leagues right now that if you play like less than $100 a week on DraftKings, you can probably play it rake free because there's just, so I'm like, oh, this is rake free. This is a contest I probably wouldn't play normally, but like I'd be stupid not to. So I'm like, I'm playing all these like listener leagues or whatever. And then, just kind of, it all kind of works off like the same core. I have very big weeks and I have weeks where I lose everything, but I understand that that's going to happen going into it.
Now, you're also kind of known as a stat guy. This podcast, we typically go with gut model fueled by beer. And,
nice.
Moose hooked us up with his website 2 years ago or whatever. And now we realize the value of statistics. I'm not naive and dumb, but at the same time, stats are stats, and some of them are a little bit harder to understand. And golf, especially, is a little bit newer in terms of strokes gain stats. But I was going to ask you, what's your favorite stat? Like, what's one that you rely on?
Yeah, so for me, it's strokes gained tee to green. Just because, in general, the strokes gained data is the best data that we have. Like, there's a lot of issues with golf stats. They're playing. It's kind of like baseball too, right? Like, oh, this guy hit 35 home runs, but he played in the smallest park in the league. Well, this guy, he had success here, but he only played certain courses, right? They're playing different venues every single week. They're playing in different conditions. It's already a volatile sport. So, like, yes, I understand there are problems with golf stats. However, the strokes gained stuff is the best stuff that we have.
Totally.
So I want to look at the best stuff that we have and say, okay, which part of the strokes gained stats do I care about the most? Obviously, strokes gained total, that's fine. But strokes gained tee to green historically has been the stickiest, right? It's the putting that's volatile. It's, Keegan Bradley 1 week is going to be the best putter in the field. Wes Bryan is never going to lead the field in strokes gained off the tee. He's never going to wake up and he's never going to bomb a ball 350 yards. It's just not going to happen. So just by like the nature of the game, the volatility of putting is so much that I like to remove it. But you're right. I get so many emails. I get so many tweets like, Rick, this guy's number one in approaches from 150 to 175 out of the right rough. And I'm like, ooh. We've gone too far. We've gone too far. First of all, the sample size on that is like 6 shots all year, and just like it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't.
No, people go with the football mentality because football and like those stats, they're somewhat predictable. Now, Is there a predictive stat? What is a predictive stat? Or do you have something that like is a rule of thumb? Because for us, we say, I mean, this is what you just basically alluded to. If they're good with the irons, but they're bad with the putter, pick them the next week because that'll flip. The putter will go decent, and then their irons will stay hot. Is that kind of just one of the rules you live by, or is there any others that you kind of?
Sure, yeah. So I think it's funny that you mentioned predictive stats because this is like I can hop up on my soapbox for this one. A lot of the industry does a ton of reactive stats. So what I don't know if I see it.
That's what we do. Okay. We tweet out all the like narrative stats and shit.
Yeah,
or at least doesn't lead to anything.
I feel like I don't see it as much anymore, but I used to always see, hey, the winners here were top 5 in strokes gained putting. I'm like, well, no shit. Well, no, like, of course. Like, you're just saying the best player won. Like, that's like, yeah, of course it was. It's every week. It's all the time. Or, 25% of the shots come from this range, which is like, I guess, but like guys are doing it differently. Like that's not really. So what I do is I try to build like profiles of golfers, right? So I run a regression model for each course that says, okay, what skill sets historically over the last 12 years, who, if they have found success, what are their skill sets? And then kind of look at what those skill sets are for this week. So a lot of times you'll see that like, oh, strokes gained approach is more important here at TPC San Antonio in theory than any other course on the tour. So I'm like, okay, maybe this week I'll look at strokes gained approach. Or some of them have like, I think it's Kapalua. The greens are massive. And 3-putt avoidance was like, if you led the tour or if you were doing well on tour that year in 3-putt avoidance, you found success at Kapalua. And it's just kind of like that. I'm just trying to build profiles of golfers that have had success in the past at this course and then looking and seeing who fits that profile for this week.
Rick, it's clear you are very knowledgeable on this subject. So, but you also have knowledge on other subjects that you offer classes on, or is this something that you don't do anymore?
I do a lot of stuff, yeah. So I do have courses. So a lot of I offer courses on my site. So you can go to DFS On Demand, scroll like halfway down. There's courses on there, and there's more coming soon because people are thirsty for something to do right now. So this kind of came out of, I used to create a lot of YouTube videos about like how to make your own projections, how to make NBA projections, how to make Major League Baseball projections.
Those are some of your most viewed videos, actually.
By far. Yeah, by far. And I've updated them a couple of times and people are just like, hey, I want more. So I actually, I used a course software where I can, like, there's lessons, right? So you sign up and you go from lesson 1 to lesson 2 and it's me sharing my screen and I'm able to share links and then you get access to the Slack channel in case you have any questions. But yeah, like one of them is called Scraping Stats, which is a course that I literally just use Microsoft Excel and start scraping a ton of data off the internet. And you can use it to build your own databases. Cause that's like one of the questions I get the most. I can't, hey, Rick, I can't code, but I want to have my own database. I'm like, okay, well, I can't code either. So perfect. Let me show you how I use Excel to like go out and grab some of this stuff. And it's just like knowledge that I've acquired over the years that I'm able to kind of just, package up into a little course, and then you can go through it, and it's, probably an hour or two, but then you can build your own databases. You can manipulate the data any way you want. So that is something I enjoy, the educational aspect, right? I enjoy teaching. I hate being like, yo, you should play this guy because I'm playing this guy, or fade. Like, I don't know what your risk tolerance is. I don't know. Like, I would prefer to teach you the process, the ideas, and then you go out and do your own thing.
Yeah. Now, here's the fish. Go eat it. It's like, no, here's how you fish.
Right. Exactly.
But at the same time, you've done this a while, and you've probably said this. I've seen you, like, even this week, you're on like 5 different podcasts already talking strategy and things like that. Do you have one thing that's like your important lesson learned thing, or do you have anything you want to like give us?
I think in general, people don't realize how volatile golf is, if that's what we're talking about. It is not basketball, where generally every night basketball players play to their average, right? LeBron's probably going to score you 25 points with 7 rebounds and 7 assists, or something close to that, on a nightly basis. He's never going to score 2 points. He's rarely going to score 65, right? He's going to play to his range. Not necessarily in golf. And even the best players in the world. Okay, Rory is an exception because Rory's absolutely insane and he breaks all the rules. But like Brooks Koepka, Justin Thomas, these guys miss cuts. They finish 43rd. They like guys who are $6,200, guys that pop up. Kevin Na misses 3 cuts in a row, wins a tournament, misses 3 cuts. Like, I don't think people really understand the luck that is involved in golf in general. Right. The difference between a really good week and a really bad week is tiny. And there's so much volatility for even the best players in the world. So with all of that being said, the lesson out of that is basically, it's okay that this is a volatile sport. You just need to understand that. You just need to understand, trying to play 6 safe guys together might not be the case, because you might not have 6 safe guys. There might not be 6 safe guys. So embrace the volatility. The volatility is fine because, like you mentioned before, high risk is high reward. So as long as you understand, hey, this is a really risky guy, this is a really risky play, but that's what I want, that is when you've unlocked like the top end ceiling.
Totally. Okay, great advice. Now, let's get sort of fun here. Let's talk about the DFS Open. How awkward was the DFS Open? You were there. I got all 4 of your dudes in their foursome to come on my pod and talk to me. I've already talked to Raza. I'm going to talk to Culp. And I talked to Fowler. Fowler's my first interview. So how fun was that?
It was a lot of fun. It was only slightly awkward. I was kind of terrified going down there. I was like, oh my God, like there's 100 of us off the internet who spend a lot of time in front of the computer, and we're going to get together in real life. This is a recipe for disaster. Like, this is going to be absolutely terrible.
Because most of us are socially weird, or introverts usually.
Like, so luckily it was only awkward at first, and then everybody was like, oh, you're so-and-so, right? Or like, what's your real name? I only know you from Twitter or whatever. Like, so it was only a little bit awkward, but it was really cool. I mean, getting to meet those guys, and you mentioned it, my group was the absolute nuts. I mean, those guys are so good. We still are, DMing and texting and staying in touch, and to be able to find, I mean, like, to get 100 guys to, fly from all parts of the country or North America or wherever to Florida to do this is unbelievable. I think next year it's probably going to be even bigger, and I'm stoked about it. Yeah, it was so well run. It was a lot of fun, but yeah, it was weird. It was weird meeting and some people that I talk to all the time that I'm like, oh, I've never actually seen you in person, but hey, this is pretty cool.
Or you're not a troll, or you're real?
Yeah, right. Yeah, like, oh, okay. Like, and I had to be like, okay, like, what's your like Twitter pic? Oh, okay, yeah. That's what I know it is. It's Phillip Rivers or whatever. It's that helps me understand. So it's because not everybody has their face up there or whatever, but it was cool.
So before I get you out of here, what are you going to use? Are you going to do LOL League of Legends on DFS On Demand if we don't have golf come back here?
I don't know. So okay,
what's your prediction? What are we going to do?
So Okay, I have a lot of predictions. There's some spicy takes. So League of Legends, which I know literally zero about. I will tell you, I've started scraping the data for it because
Nice. Like, of course you have.
Just in case I want to do something with this, like, let me see. I don't know any of the abbreviations, right? So I'm like, I don't even know what this stuff means. Like, I have the data, but I don't know what it means. But I will tell you, like, they got like 50K up top.
I've seen that.
I'm like, maybe I should be playing this, or maybe I should be I have literally no idea what's happening, but 50K up top is going to get a lot of people interested. And then as far as predictions, like, I don't know, man. Like, I will say this for me personally, I don't know when it comes back, but I think golf is probably one of the first sports to come back. They were really lagged late and fell to the pressure to even shut down to begin with. They can play the whole, hey, it's an outdoor sport, and our competitors don't really touch each other, and we can play it without fans. Like, I think that's more realistic than like the NBA is going to have a tough time coming back. The NHL is going to have a tough time coming back because of how much contact those guys have. They've had players that have tested positive for coronavirus. Like, that's going to be tough to come back from, because you correctly showed an abundance of caution at the start, and the NBA led the way, and they should have, and they were absolutely right. But at the same time, now it's harder for them to come back. The PGA Tour, I feel like, is going to be like, oh yeah, we rode on the coattails of the NBA, and now we'll come back in. I don't know when it's going to be, but we'll be the first.
Okay, I like that. That's good positive thinking, because most of the people I've talked to are very negative about this, and they're thinking that this is months.
I mean, I don't know, right? I don't know if it's this year, right? I don't know if it's whenever, but like, when sports come back, I think golf will be. I do think it'll be. I think we'll see golf this year.
Well, so then now that we don't have golf, you have Spreadsheet Golf, though.
I've got Spreadsheet Golf. Yeah, I mean,
fun.
that's another thing, dude. It's crazy. The world's so crazy right now. Yeah, so I just simulate holes in my spreadsheet with this model that I built, and I live stream it, and people show up and they cheer for their guy, and they put contest entries in, and I mean, you know what? The community has shown that this is bigger than just the PGA Tour, just just what's going on television. I mean, the guys at Awesemo are putting on the NBA 2K stuff and getting thousands of viewers. Like, the community's bigger than just what's on TV. We want to see what's going on. We want something to follow along with. We want something to enjoy. So I've just been trying to do a little something on my side. So yeah, there's plenty of fake golf to go around.
So how do we get involved in that? Do we follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter's the best place, at Rick Run Good. I mean, that's where all the podcasts that I'm on, all of the contests that I'm running, all of the video game stuff, it all kind of just runs through there. If you follow me on Twitter, I'm tweeting it all out all the time. That's the best way. And then my YouTube channel as well, which is Rick Run Good. There's videos on there. There's live streams about the contests that are coming up. Those are probably the two best places to get information.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, dude, and continue to pave the way, because I feel like you're the litmus test for everyone in this industry. If you can go and you hit the tops, like, you're the trail, and we're all just going to follow you. So like, go for it. And we're all supporting you. You know this, we've got you.
Yeah. Thanks, brother. We are a rocket ship. We're taking off. It's going to be good for everybody. The whole industry is at nowhere near saturation point. We're at like 2% right now. So it's big things coming.
Dude, and if you're ever in need of a co-host, hit me up.
There you go. I know where to find one, right here.
But thanks. Rick Run Good, the man himself. Appreciate your time, dude. Talk to you later.
Thanks, man.